Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Chrisley filled with hate. Wishes things were different. Todd Chrisley's oldest son Kyle has been popping up in the news a lot as of late. Unfortunately, most of the news about Kyle has been far from positive. As fans know, Kyle was arrested for felony aggravated assault. And he was accused of allegedly threatening to stab his supervisor to death after getting into a fight with him. Chrisley ended up getting more time from the judge because he was having trouble securing a lawyer to represent him. While he did break his Instagram silence recently to speak out on the recent Nashville school shooting, he's yet to say anything about his arrest. Breaking his Instagram silence again, Kyle still steers clear of the details of his arrest. But he does share some old photos of his father while wishing him a happy birthday. Now, Chrisley's tribute to his father revealed to his followers that he was filled with a lot of hate right now. Moreover, he just wished things had played out differently. Like his brother Chase, Kyle admitted it took him a while to post on Instagram because he had trouble finding the right words. Chrisley attached this caption to several photos on his Instagram profile. He also turned the old photos into a collage and posted it to his Instagram stories with the same caption. Check out the collage down below. Just like his sister Lindsay, some of the photos featured Todd looking a bit unrecognizable as they were taken such a long time ago, and he had had a lot of plastic surgery since then. In the comments of his Instagram post, many of Kyle's followers surrounded him with love and encouraged him to hold his head up high. Here's some of what they had to say in the comments. For much of his life, Chrisley has been a man torn between two versions of himself: the son who wanted to be loved, accepted, and understood, and the shadowed figure who carried resentment, pain, and anger like armor. Now, with years of turmoil behind him, whispers of redemption just out of reach, and a family forever fractured by scandal, Kyle finds himself consumed with a complicated mixture of hate and longing. It isn't the kind of hate that appears overnight. It's the kind that brews slowly, like a storm on a horizon, darkening, building, waiting for the right moment to unleash. Kyle's bitterness didn't just come from headlines, court cases, or public embarrassment. It came from childhood memories where laughter was drowned out by criticism, where love seemed conditional, and where his place within the family felt like shifting sand. I wish things were different, Kyle admitted in a rare moment of honesty to a close friend recently, his voice breaking between words. But it feels like they never will be. That simple admission carried the weight of years spent on the outside looking in. Growing up in the Chrisley household, image mattered more than reality. Todd, his father, built an empire on charm, quick wit, and perfectionism. But behind the television cameras, Kyle often felt like he was living in a competition he never signed up for. Every mistake he made was magnified. Every stumble was framed as failure. Kyle's anger wasn't just at his father. It was at himself too. The struggles with addiction, the poor choices, the broken relationships, they weren't just things he regretted. They were scars he carried like proof that he had lived outside of the glossy family portrait. Hate, he realized, was easier than grief. If he could direct it outward, at Todd, at Savannah, at the world, it meant he didn't have to fully face the sadness of what he had lost. But there were nights when the facade crumbled. Alone in his room, Kyle sometimes scrolled through old photos of himself as a boy holding Nanny Faye's hand, or of his sisters when they were all still young and unbroken by fame. He didn't always recognize the boy in those pictures. He wondered what might have happened if the cameras never came, if Chrisley Knows Best had remained just an idea instead of a cultural phenomenon. Maybe then I wouldn't hate so much, he muttered once, staring at a family portrait from the early years of the show. The paradox of Kyle's life is that he has always longed for family while struggling to exist within it. His relationship with his daughter, Chloe, became the sharpest reminder of that truth. He wanted to be her father, her safe place, but his battles often left him incapable of providing stability. Watching Todd and Savannah step in to raise Chloe brought relief in some ways, but also resentment. Each time he saw Chloe's smile on his sister's Instagram, he couldn't help but think, that should have been me. I should have been the one making her feel deeper than any criticism his father could throw at him. In recent years, the Chrisley family's world has imploded. Todd and Julie's prison sentences turned their carefully constructed image upside down, forcing every family member to confront their demons publicly. Savannah stepped into a caretaker role, Grayson and Chloe leaned on her, and Lindsay kept her distance. For Kyle, it reopened every wound he thought he had buried. Instead of relief, he found himself bitter. Now they know how it feels. He confessed to a friend. To be judged, to have people whispering about your failures. But somehow, I'm still the one they look at like I ruined everything first. Hate, Kyle realized, doesn't heal anything. It burns from the inside out, leaving ashes where hope once lived. And yet, even in his darkest confessions, he still whispered about wishing things were different. It wasn't a grand wish for fame or success. It was something simpler. He wished he could have Sunday dinners without tension, phone calls without accusations, and forgiveness without conditions. He wished his daughter could see him not as a man struggling to hold it together, but as a father who fought to change. There are moments when Kyle allows himself to imagine a different reality. In that dream, Todd isn't behind bars, Julie isn't gone, Savannah isn't carrying the weight of raising 2 kids, and Kyle himself is sitting at the table, sober, steady, and smiling. Chloe is next to him, her hand in his, laughing at a joke only they understand. The cameras aren't there. The world isn't watching. It's just family. But when he wakes up, the reality is crueler. The phone doesn't ring with apologies. The hate in his chest feels heavier. And yet, despite it all, he admits he still loves them. That's the part that confuses even him, the duality of loving and hating the same people. Hate for the years lost, for the criticisms, for the distance. Love for the memories, for the family ties that even time and scandal can't fully erase. It's a tug of war that leaves him exhausted, constantly trying to balance between bitterness and longing. In therapy, a counselor once told Kyle, "Hate is just love with a broken heart." He scoffed at the time, but the words stayed with him. Maybe his hate wasn't about destruction. Maybe it was the loudest expression of how deeply he still cared, even when he wished he didn't. The future of the Chrisley family remains uncertain, but Kyle knows one thing for sure. The hate he carries is unsustainable. It's poison, and though it protects him from vulnerability, it also keeps him from healing. Quietly, he admits to himself that maybe, just maybe, the only way things could ever be different is if he chose to forgive. Not for them, but for him. Until then, Kyle Chrisley continues to walk through life with the burden of hate pressing against his chest, whispering about what might have been. The world sees a fractured son from a fractured family, but inside, Kyle is still that boy in the photo, hoping one day the laughter will return, and the love he longed for will no longer feel out of reach. Because beneath the hate, beneath the pain, and beneath the regrets, there is still a flicker of hope. And for Kyle Chrisley, that hope is the one thing that keeps him from being completely consumed by the very hate he carries.